Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have another Dollar Tree DIY for you guys, and this is of course going to be a gnome DIY. And this year for Easter, I really wanted to create a Easter bunny gnome since I had never done that before, and I honestly love how this one turned out. But before we get started, if you are new here, please do consider subscribing down below and be sure to turn on that notification bell. Before we jump into the craft, I just wanted to go over the items that I'm going to be using from Dollar Tree. So the first item here is this mop head, and they actually have another version of this that I've used in my previous gnomes. It's kind of just a more plain version, a white cotton one, but this one was just so interesting looking and I thought it would be fun and different to use, so this is what I'm going to be using to create the beard for the gnome today. And since we are creating an Easter bunny gnome, I of course had to pick up these ears. So these ones are going to work perfectly for this gnome. I was a little nervous if they were going to be too large, but honestly they look great. And I also picked up these little bunny feet to go with them. And I did want to mention they do carry the ears as well as these feet in a blue version as well. So if you are more into the blue shades, you might want to pick those ones up. And then you're also going to need a pair of socks. So Dollar Tree does have a bunch of socks, but I didn't really see any Easter ones this year, so I did go ahead and just pick these up at the Christmas tree shop. They were around $1 or so, and they did have a bunch of different patterns that were really cute, but you can also just use a pastel version of socks. They don't need to have a print on it, but I thought that these ones would look really cute for this craft today. I'm also going to be using some of these table tennis balls from the Dollar Tree, but I know that these ones can be a little tricky to find, so I'm going to leave this other one linked down below. These are just from Walmart and they are very inexpensive as well. And finally, I'm just going to be using these carrots as an accessory, and you can pick up any accessories you like. I like to go pretty simple, but I thought the carrots would be perfect. So to start off, you just want to grab your socks, and we only need one to start off with. So we're going to put that second one to the side just for now. And now with my sock, I want to weigh down the bottom of the body of my gnome. That way he can just stand upright. So to do this, my favorite thing is to use these poly pellets. They are little plastic pellets and they come in so handy. I'll leave them linked down below. But if you want to use something from the Dollar Tree, these glass pebbles are great, or you can also use some of these little white stones. Anything to kind of just weigh down the bottom will work. After you weigh down the bottom of your sock, you want to start to stuff it. So to stuff my sock today, I'm going to be using some Poly-Fil. This one I believe is from Amazon. They have Poly-Fil at any craft store or Walmart. I'll leave some options linked down below. So I filled mine up all the way up to that heel portion. And now just to tie it off, I'm using a rubber band. Could also use some string, but I find that a rubber band is really easy. And now I just want to cut off that extra sock. So here is the base of my gnome. This is going to be his body. Next up, I just want to grab my mop because I want to attach the beard. So here's a photo of the other mop that Dollar Tree offers, the white mop, but I thought that this one would be fun. Either will work for this craft. So once you take your mop out, you're going to notice that there is a plastic piece that's basically separating the two sides. And you only need one side for each gnome, so I'm going to go ahead and just cut off those strands and then save the other side for another future craft. So you'll see those cut ends are basically going to be the bottom of the beard, and the other side, those ones are all still attached. So they're just looped over. That's just the style of the mop. So that one is going to be the top part where you're not going to see it. So I just took a rubber band just to secure all of those strands together. And now to attach it to the body, I'm just going to be taking a third rubber band and just wrapping that around both of those to tie them together. You could also just hot glue the beard to the body as well. I have done that in the past, but the rubber band method did work really well. So now I'm just going to take two of the table tennis balls and put one to the side. We don't need to do anything to that one for now, but this second table tennis ball is going to be the nose of the gnome, and I want to paint it just to warm up the color a little bit. I'm just going to quickly show you my method for painting it to make it super simple, but any way you paint it is totally fine. I just like to pierce mine with a toothpick and then just push it into a foam floral block. That way it makes it super easy to paint and dry. And for the color today, I'm just going to be mixing some of this white chalk paint with a little bit of this orange spice color. And now that I have my paint all mixed, I'm just going to go ahead and paint that table tennis ball and then let it dry completely. Once it was all dry, I just removed the toothpick, and now to attach it to my gnome, I'm just going to be using some hot glue. So for this, I like to make sure that there are some beard strands behind the nose as well as on the sides of the nose, just to kind of help frame it out. And now you can grab that second sock as well as that second table tennis ball. And I like to just put it all the way to the bottom by the toes of the sock and then tie it off with a rubber band or some string. Since I used a rubber band for this, I'm just going to be taking some yarn and wrapping it around that rubber band just to hide it so it looks a little bit more finished. Adding that second table tennis ball to the sock just gives the appearance of a pom-pom on top. And now I'm just going to be stretching my sock to put the hat on my gnome. You just want to make sure that the heel of the sock is facing towards the back, and then you can just take your time to kind of have your hat sit however you like. I like to pull the back down pretty far, and then for the front of the hat, I kind of like it to cover half of the nose, that way just the bottom half is peeking out. And now I just want to trim up my beard to make sure that everything is nice and neat, and I kind of like to trim it in a bit of a U shape. And now it is time for my favorite part, adding the accessories. So if you wanted to keep your gnome pretty simple and kind of just do a spring themed gnome, you don't have to turn it into a bunny. You can just add something simple like a carrot or an Easter egg and then just stop right here. And I think this one looks super cute just like this. But I definitely wanted to add all of the accessories and turn this one into a bunny. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab the ears as well as the feet. So for the ears, I do need to cut them off from that headband, and they do have a hard plastic piece in the middle, and that is pretty difficult to cut. So all you have to do is just actually cut the fabric right around the ear, and that way you don't have to cut that middle plastic piece at all. And here are my two ears removed from the headband, and now I'm just going to go ahead and cut those feet off. So I decided to cut it kind of right where the fabric meets that faux fur, and there is a piece of foam in the middle as well as a metal wire, but once you go ahead and kind of just cut through the foam, you can just pull that wire right out. To prep my ears, I just decided to kind of just pull them straight. There was a little bit of glue on the bottom, and I wanted to clean up that other glue that was already there. So I did trim off the bottom portion just a little bit, and then I put a line of hot glue right across the bottom and then kind of pinch them together. So this is going to give you a really nice flat surface to put some hot glue on, just so you can attach it to the gnome hat. Here was my gnome once I had those ears glued on, but they're looking a little bit floppy, which I think can look really cute. But if you want your ears to stand upright, you can just add a little bit of hot glue to the side of the ear and just glue it to the hat, and that way they will be nice and perky. And now I just have to hot glue those feet to the bottom of my gnome. So you'll see here that there is a little bit of that foam left over, and what happened to me was the hot glue actually melted the foam. So I would just say remove that foam completely, and you can just trim the feet a little bit smaller. The foam does not go all the way through. Or what I decided to do was just take a little bit of Poly-Fil, fill in that gap, and then hot glue it to my gnome. And at this point, I thought I was done until I realized I cannot make an Easter bunny gnome and not attach a little bunny tail. So I had an idea, and I remembered that I did have these large pom-poms from the Dollar Tree. These are actually leftover snowballs from Christmas time, so I figured that this was the perfect time to use them. So I'm gonna go ahead and just hot glue one to the back of my gnome. But Dollar Tree does have these pom-poms right now in their stores. These ones are specifically for Easter. They have a little bunny on the front of them. So I think that they are meant to be kind of Easter bunny tails for crafts. So definitely pick those up if you see them. I think they're a little bit smaller than the snowball, but they will work just as well. And here is a closer look on how the final gnome turned out. I'm pretty sure that I have created a gnome for almost every holiday, and this one is actually my favorite. I just love the little bunny ears and the bunny tail. I think that they are just so adorable, and there's no way you can't smile every time you see this one. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this DIY. If you did, please do give this video a thumbs up. And if you are new here, please do consider subscribing to my channel. To subscribe to this channel, you can just click on my picture right here. And be sure to check out this video for some more crafting fun.